Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. Uh, Zia, are you there? Shall we start the session?
Hello,
Ji,
Ahmed bhai, we
Assalamu
can
alaikum.
start the session.
Shall we start? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ji. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and Assalamu alaikum and everyone, and welcome to this session on growth of Islamic finance and the related career opportunities for especially for IBA students. So in this 1.5 hour inshallah session, we will discuss the growth opportunities in Islamic finance, and before that we will also discuss an overview of what Islamic finance is briefly, then what is the global growth of Islamic finance, and what is the growth pattern of Islamic finance in Pakistan with respect to the banking industry, with respect to the mutual fund industry, insurance industry, and non-banking finance sector. So this will provide an inshallah an overview of to all of you with where Islamic finance is standing today in Pakistan, and and the third part is the career opportunities and career options of Islamic finance. So there are different options available for fresh graduates as well as those who have some experience. And we will also discuss in this webinar the skill set that is normally demanded by the employers when they hire candidate for Islamic finance in the area of Islamic finance, and how you can prepare yourself. A quick brief introduction about myself. My name is Ahmed Siddiqui. I am currently director for Center for Excellence in Islamic Finance at IBA, as well as I'm working for the last around 18-19 years in the industry, and currently working as a senior executive vice president at Meezan Bank and heading the Sharia compliance division of the bank. So let's start with our presentation. The quick outline is why Islamic finance, objectives of Islamic finance, and there are some bases of Islamic finance. A quick picture or look back at where Islamic finance was and where it is now, what is happening in the world, and then we'll focus on Pakistan, what is happening in Pakistan in Islamic finance, and then the last part will be how to build your career, or if you're interested in Islamic finance, what is the way forward. What I'll do that we will try to keep last 15 minutes of the session for question answers. So we can target that we will finish inshallah around 4 or 4:15. Now, when we start, the basic question that comes to mind: why Islamic finance, and why we need actually this area, and why this area has emerged. And this is a very fundamental question, and this question is not only related to our professional career, but it also relates to our personal life and personal growth. So when we look at the teachings or at the framework of Islam, how Islam has guided us and how Islamic Sharia has guided us, we find that there are two domains where the Sharia has guided us and all the followers. One is the domain of ibadat and worship, and the other is the domain of muamalat. And we all know very well, ibadats are very clear: namaz, roza, zakat, hajj, the 5 pillars of Islam. And then in the areas of and the other domain that is sometimes neglected is the domain of muamalat, that how our dealings are and how our muamalats are with others. So and in the sphere of muamalat, we have our political activities, social activities, and economic activities. And what we're talking today about banking and earning and our source of income relates to our economic activity. And the important thing is, if our if our earning is halal, if our mamlats are correct, they are according to Islamic principle, then it automatically help to validate all our act of ibadat. And if God forbid our mamlats are not correct and we are not earning halal, then unfortunately we can invalidate most of our act of ibadat. For example, if we are earning haram, and we are using that haram funds to pay zakat or do hajj or do fast, that that invalidates, or that sometime is not acceptable, because so economic activities and financial activities, and especially the earning part of our economic activity, has to be Sharia compliant, and that's a prerequisite for most of our act of ibadat. So Islamic finance automatically, or earning halal automatically becomes very important when we are entering into a career. Uh, what are the strategic objective of Islamic finance system? Uh, the Islamic finance system is here to promote a fair and equitable system of economy that can help eradicate poverty, hunger, exploitation, and lead to establishment of Islamic welfare state for the prosperity of common man. So the objectives are very noble. The principles are to avoid all impermissible transactions that are prohibited in Islamic law, which includes riba, which is Sood, a gambling-based transaction that involves high uncertainty, we call it gharar, and such legal contracts that exploit uh, the other party. So if a bank is entering into a contract that is exploiting its customer, in most of the cases that is not allowed in Islamic law. Then promote real economic transactions and real economic activities in the economy, and discourage artificial financial dealings. Another objective is to fulfill socially acceptable and ethical need of the customers, and promote projects that give socio-economic impact and benefit to the society. Then another aim of Islamic finance is to promote financial inclusion, and which provide access to finance to all segments in the society on fair basis, and ensuring Sharia compliance in all the dealings. When whatever Islamic banks do or Islamic financial institutions do, they have to ensure Sharia compliance. These are the few objectives of Islamic Islamic financial system. And also again, before we again go forward, why halal earning is important. I have touched this in the first slide, that it is important because at a personal level and at a professional level. But according to one hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the body which is nourished by non-pure source of income uh, is is bound to hellfire. And on the day of judgment, a person will not be moved from the place where he stands or she stands until they answer the question how they have earned and how they have spent. So this question of finance and earning and expenditure will always be there. But the good thing is the exam paper is known to us. The paper is out for us. So if we prepare our answers correctly, inshallah, we will be we can pass that exam inshallah in a better manner. Another important thing for halal earning is, if I want, or you want, or any one of us want that his du'as are accepted, his prayers are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then one of the prerequisite of acceptance of prayers is halal earning. So if one's earning, one source of income is pure and it is halal, then automatically he qualifies, and he can be nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his prayers will be accepted, inshallah. Now, Islamic finance basis and the basis of Islamic finance are not, these are not man-made laws. The basis of Islamic finance is derived from Quran and Sunnah, and the Holy Quran guide us about what is right and what is wrong in the domain of finance as well. And Surah Baqarah clearly guide us about the matter of riba, matter of interest, matter of Sood. And this ayat in the Surah Baqarah says, and Allah has permitted trade and forbidden riba. So Quran has clearly given us the directive that in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trade is permissible and riba or sood or interest is impermissible. And then there are at least four sections of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us about riba and the matter of interest. And in the surah Baqarah, which is the second surah of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us clear guideline and clear prohibition of riba. And it says, the Quran says that those who get the admonition or the warning from their Lord and they amend their way, they have the matter in the hands of Allah. But those who deny and continue to take riba or to follow the path of riba, they are Paulaika ashabun nar. They are the people of fire and they will remain in it forever. So riba is a serious matter. Interest is a serious matter, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has very clearly guided us, the believers, that in the eyes of Allah, riba is impermissible, but trade is permissible. And the solution also was given in this ayat of the Quran, that trade is the solution for coming out of interest-based transaction. There are other ayat in the Quran, the ayat after the 276, there was ayat that very clearly demand a mu'min or a believer to do something. And the ayat says, "Oh, you believe, fear Allah and give up what remains of your demand of interest if you are a believer." So if I claim to be a believer, I have to do one thing, and I have to obey this ayat of the Quran, and I have to give away and move away from all the dealings of riba, all the matters of riba. And if I do not do, then the Quran says it's a declaration of war with Allah and His Messenger. So this is a very serious declaration that no one can actually fight Allah and His Messenger. And if anyone has this, tries to do that, he will obviously suffer and have greater, trouble in his life if he tries to do so. So the Quranic guidelines on the matter of riba and interest is very clear, and this is not only just a matter of halal and haram. It is more than halal and haram. It is someone who takes riba, who takes interest, who involve himself or herself in the matter of riba is a person who actually declares a fight with Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is obviously there is no probability of success of the party who is at fight with Allah and His Messenger. Then there are a lot of ahadith about the matter of riba. There are almost 40 ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ that guide us about the matter of riba and the definition of riba, how and what would be the result of someone who involves himself or herself in riba. But there's one hadith that is very related to us as finance professional, and which is related by the Jabir bin Abdullah Azila. The Prophet ﷺ has cursed the receiver and payer of interest, the one who records it, and the one who witnessed the transaction. So all of us, or anyone who is involved in anything to do with any matter of riba, whether he is paying it, whether he's taking interest, or he's paying interest, or he's just recording it, that I'm just a finance manager, I just do the bookkeeping, I do the accounting side of a transaction, or who is just the person who's just witnessing the transaction and saying, okay, I support this transaction by providing it, supporting it as a witness, and they all are alike in the guilt of riba. So here for especially those who want to go in the business side or finance side, or they want to start up their own businesses, this is a very clear warning that if anyone pays riba or receive riba or records a transaction of interest or witness a transaction of interest, he is in or she is in trouble. What is riba? What is sood? What is interest? Again, there's sometimes people try to create confusion about it, but there is no confusion on the definition of riba. It is very clear, and a very clear definition was narrated by Hazrat Ali Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, which says that every debt that pulls any kind of gain is riba, or we can translate that that any excess amount on a loan, as the excess compensation on a loan is riba. So everything is not riba, but riba is a very specific, or interest or a sood is a very specific gain that is coming out of a loan contract. So if I have given 1,000 rupee loan or 100,000 rupee loan to someone, and I ask in return that I want 110,000 after one year, that excess amount of 10,000 that I got on the loan is riba, and that is considered prohibited in Islam. So any benefit coming out of a loan is riba. So even there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that if you have given loan to someone, don't accept a gift from him, or don't sit on his on his car, or सवारी पे ना बैठो उसकी. Don't sit where you don't use his so that is just to avoid that if a person has given loan to someone, he should not try to get an extra benefit from the person who has taken the loan, to avoid the domain of riba. Yes, if you are already used to this, accustomed to this behavior, he's your friend, he's your brother, that does not mean that once you have given him a loan, you should do a social boycott for him. But if he is or she is, and you're not accustomed to sit with him in his car or her car, or you don't accept regularly exchange gifts, so just because he has given he has taken loan from you, he should not or she should not give you gift, because that could also mean that there could be a possibility that you are entering into the domain of riba. So riba is, or interest, is very serious matter. That is why extra precautions are required to avoid it. Islamic financial systems has another provision as in addition to riba or usury or interest, which includes future sale, unfair contracts, unethical and unlawful trade, speculation, gambling. Qimar is like jua, or gambling is a form of gambling, and gharar is like uncertainty which lead to dispute in a commercial transaction. Like short sale is a type of transaction which is not permissible. Now, quickly, let's see what are the differences of Islamic banking or Islamic financial system as compared to conventional system, because sometimes people get confused in it. So Islamic banking is a form of financial intermediation based on the Islamic mode of partnership, like sale, rent. It is free from interest, gambling, or uncertainty, and other prohibited elements as prescribed by Islamic law. So sometime when we discuss what is the difference between conventional Islamic banking, and people sometimes don't understand the difference, and they say there's no difference. So for them, this slide is very important, that if you see on the red side, these are the areas which a Islamic financial institution or Islamic bank is not allowed. No form of interest-based dealing is allowed. You cannot take loan on interest. You cannot give loan on interest. You cannot support unethical businesses like alcohol, casino, wine making, and then other sorts. And maybe some people don't even allow tobacco and other unethical businesses. You don't involve yourself in buying interest-based bonds, T-bills, PIBs. You don't involve yourself in trade of artificial instruments like derivatives, options, swaps. You're not allowed to do future and forward sales that are contemporary happening in our market. You're not allowed to do gambling-based transaction. You're not allowed to speculate, and you're not allowed to do invalid sale transaction. And so if you exclude most of these things from the banking, conventional banking, generally a typical banker will say then there's nothing left for us. But there are a lot of things which are permissible. So that's what Islamic bank do. They do their business or their banking based on the mode of trade. And that is how they are allowed to do sale, they are allowed to do rental contracts, they are allowed to do profit and loss partnerships, and they're also allowed to do agencies, they are allowed to provide agency services to their customers. So for Islamic banking means that you are doing financial intermediation, you are doing banking, but which is based on the concepts of trade, partnership, agency, sale, purchase of actual items, and by that involving in the real business, you are also providing financing to the customers who need funds, and you are also providing return to the depositors who invest their funds in an Islamic bank. Now coming to the global picture of Islamic finance. If you see worldwide, there are over 1,350 institutions currently who are providing Islamic financial services. Uh, Total size of the industry is sometimes debated. It is somewhere between 2.2 trillion US dollar to 2.8 trillion US dollar. According the estimates by ICD Thomson Reuters that it is expected to reach 3.2 trillion US dollars by the end of 2020. Over 150 million customers. This number is quite underestimated, but probably the actual number maybe double than this. 250 Sharia compliant mutual funds with $300 billion under management. Over 7,000 international Islamic sukuks have been issued. Sukuks are Islamic bonds. Then there are more than 300 takaful or Islamic insurance companies are operating worldwide. Over 55 Sharia standards for Islamic finance have been issued by International Standard Setting Body for Islamic Finance. In the stock markets, and almost in all good stock markets, you have separate Islamic indexes. In Dow Jones, you have it, FTSE, you have it, in even Pakistan Stock Exchange, PSX, you have KMI 30 Islamic Index, and you have All Share Islamic Index. Currently, London, Bahrain, Malaysia, and UAE, they all want, they're struggling to become global hub of Islamic finance, and they're trying to get maximum market share for Islamic finance. Over 120 countries are now have Islamic financial or Islamic banking institutions. Approximately 50 Muslim countries have them. Over 60 non-Muslim countries have Islamic finance, and their new players are currently adding to this list. The recent players which enter quite late, but they include Oman, Tanzania, Djibouti, Singapore, Germany, Hong Kong, Russia, and Ukraine. Very recently, we met a delegation from Russia who are there trying to introduce sukuk in Russia. They're trying to help the Islamic countries for food security by issuance of sukuk. So Islamic finance is now getting acceptance in different jurisdictions. And as a result, the demand for Islamic finance professional is now global. And a very good news for Pakistan, especially that the demand for Pakistani Islamic finance professionals is quite high. And we have our professionals working in at almost all jurisdictions. They are working in UK, they are working in GCC countries, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Dubai. They're working in Saudi markets. They're working in Malaysia, and they're working. So we find Islamic finance professionals. Even in Australia, I found the Islamic professionals from Pakistan working. In Kenya, they are working. In Djibouti, they are working. So there are a lot of places where the demand for good professionals are there, and luckily Pakistan has produced quite a number of Islamic finance professionals, and this demand is still there, and that's a good opportunity. If you have the required skills and experience, then your market not only remains in Pakistan, but it goes beyond the borders. Islamic finance banking share by jurisdiction. If we see the good news, there are at least 2 countries who now claim that they have 100% converted to Islamic financial system. One is Iran and one is Sudan. Iran is a Shia majority country. Sudan is a Sunni majority country. But now it doesn't matter. If you follow Islamic Quran, the teaching of Quran, you can convert your country 100% to Islamic principles. Brunei has around 60%. These are a bit old number, but the positive thing is that if you get the data of today, the data will show a further increase in the Islamic finance share. So Islamic finance is on the rise in many countries. Recently, I heard Libya has also converted, or they have decided to convert 100% to Islamic. So today it is very much possible to have a country which is with 100% Islamic financial system. It is now recognized by IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and Basel Committee. Even Asian Development Bank is pursuing the government of Pakistan for last 5 years to take loan from Asian Development Bank on Sharia compliant basis. So now these institutions have their own expertise in Islamic finance. IMF have now sector specialists for Islamic finance. World Bank has a global center for Islamic finance based in Turkey. Asian Development Bank is doing a lot for promoting Islamic finance, especially in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Philippines, and in Central Asian states. There are a few global Islamic finance bodies like AAOIFI, which is the standard setting body for Islamic finance. IFSB is the is a body that is the body of the central bankers. They guide central bankers to develop regulations for Islamic finance. We have now international rating agencies like you have heard of Moody's and S&P. Now there's a Islamic rating agency based in Bahrain that provide rating services for Islamic instruments and Islamic banks. IOFI is one of the leading body which provides which set different standards for Islamic finance. So we have Shariah standards on Islamic finance, we have accounting standards on Islamic finance, we have auditing standards for Islamic finance, and we have then ethics and governance standards. So a lot of work in the standard setting domain has also happened, and expertise in these areas are now high in demand. People are looking for experts who know the Sharia standard, Islamic Sharia standard. People are looking for, companies are looking for those people who know Islamic accounting standards. There's a high demand for Sharia auditors who know the Sharia audit and the Sharia side as well as the auditing side. So these are the new areas that are being emerged. Even recently, some countries in GCC have required that if you want to become a CFO of an Islamic bank, you need to have a qualification on Islamic accounting standards. And similarly, in Pakistan, SECP is also pushing that companies, and especially in the non-banking sector, they now prefer people who have Islamic certification of Islamic accounting or Islamic auditing, so they were given preference in the job market. There are different types of institutions in the banking. We have Islamic commercial banks, we have Islamic investment banks, we have Islamic units of conventional banks, then we have mutual funds, different types of mutual funds, pension funds, real estate funds, Islamic housing schemes, international financial markets and platforms for Islamic Sharia compliant transactions. And we have also international institutes of Islamic banking where training and development of human resource is happening. Coming to Pakistan, what is happening in Pakistan in the area of Islamic finance? Let's start with a quick look at the history. In 1948, when Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah inaugurated the Central Bank of Pakistan, he said, and I quote, the adoption of Western economic theory and practices will not help us in achieving our goal of creating a happy and contented people. So Quaid-e-Azam was very clear that the Western capitalist system will not work, and if we use it, it will not be beneficial for the people of Pakistan. And he actually ordered the State Bank of Pakistan that we must work our destiny in our own way to present this world an economic system based on the true Islamic concept of equality of manhood and social justice. So he has this thing in mind from the day one, that we have to follow the principles of Islam in the economy. And one of the only institution, a department that Quaid-e-Azam formed after establishment of Pakistan, a new department, that department was there to develop 2-3 main things, and one of them was to develop a financial and economic system based on the principle of Quran and Sunnah. Unfortunately, the department was abandoned after his death, and the work was not could not happen as desired. But there was the clarity of vision at the start, at the establishment of Pakistan, that what should be our roadmap and what should be our direction. Then the Constitution of Pakistan is very clear also. The preamble of the Constitution says that the Muslims shall be enabled in order to live their life in the individual and collective spheres in accordance with the teaching of Islam as set out by Quran and Sunnah. And the section 38 of the Constitution of Pakistan says the state shall eliminate interest or riba as early as possible. And there's another constitution, section 227, that says all laws existing laws shall be brought in conformity with the injunction of Islam as laid down by Quran and Sunnah, and no law shall be enacted which is repugnant to such injunctions. And by virtue of this clause, if any law that is made which is against Quran and Sunnah, the courts can declare that law void from and then that is why even the conventional banking system of Pakistan was declared illegal by the Shariah court and then by the Supreme Court of Pakistan, because there is no justification as per Constitution of Pakistan or as per the Quran and Sunnah to involve or to have a interest-based banking or financial system in Pakistan. So our conventional system is which is, although unfortunately we have, but that is from one point of view it is an illegal system, and from another point of view it's an un-Islamic system, and from a third point of view it is illegal, but it is we have challenged the because of some petition by the government of Pakistan, we have provided some breathing space to the conventional system, but in principle it is illegal. There were different efforts made in Pakistan right from 1948. But in the first era, these efforts were more on the conceptual level. The conceptual framework of Islamic finance was developed. That the Islamic Ideology Council has submitted some report. Then Mudarba companies were introduced. Zakat system was introduced. Then markup system was introduced, but that Federal Shariah Court declared that markup system un-Islamic. Then Supreme Court also declared the conventional banking system as un-Islamic and against the Quran and Sunnah. Then in 2002, commission was set up to transform the system to Islamic. And after the second phase of Islamic finance in Pakistan is where actual work to implement the system started. And that started in 2001 when State Bank developed the criteria of issuing licensing for Islamic Bank. And Meezan Bank was the first bank to give in the license. Then State Bank developed its own department. They have their own Sharia expert board. They started adopting Islamic accounting practices for Pakistan. They have issued different regulations for Islamic banking in Pakistan. And over the time, we see that SEVP started working on Islamic finance Islamic finance regulation for mutual fund, for Takaful industry, for Mudarba companies. Then stock exchange started their Islamic index. The government of Pakistan started the Sukuk program. So in the last 18 or 20 years, we have seen significant development in the area of implementing Islamic finance from theory to a practical model. And here you need qualified people, qualified resources, skilled individuals who can perform these tasks. If I give you an overview of Pakistan, that how is Pakistan, what is the current state of Pakistan is in terms of Islamic finance or Islamic share. So we can see that in terms of government borrowing, still very low, just below 2% we are Islamic. In the public sector borrowing, we have 5% Islamic share indexed. And in the area of external debt, the picture is also again not good. It's just 2.6%. But in the other good news as well, in the area of commodity borrowing, where the government borrows for its commodity operation, around 30% is the share of Islamic. In terms of banking assets, it's 14.9% Islamic. So it's now 15%, which is a significant, which gives Islamic finance a significant, role. And even from IMF definition, Islamic finance cannot be now ignored. In terms of deposits, Islamic finance has now reached approximately 17%. In terms of housing finance, Islamic finance has left conventional finance behind, and it's now majority. 53% of the housing finance transactions are now done in a Sharia compliant manner. In microfinance, it's 8%. In terms of life insurance assets, it's still low. But in terms of non-banking financial sector, it's now 30%, approximately 30%. In terms of mutual fund industry, Islamic finance is now 39%. So there are significant progress in housing, in banking, in the Takaful side, and in the non-banking financial sector side, and especially in the mutual fund side. The growth is now significant. In terms of pension funds, I've not mentioned here, but the pension funds are now 63% Islamic. So now we are seeing, we are in that era where Islamic finance is now taking over the conventional system in some areas. This is a study by State Bank of Pakistan, which says knowledge, attitude, and practices of Islamic banking in Pakistan. And it's a survey by State Bank of Pakistan to understand the public demand. And as per the public demand, 74% were very willing to shift to Islamic financial or Islamic banking system. 17% were not sure, and 9% were saying they were not willing because probably they were not aware of what Islamic financial system is. But another important thing, almost everyone who is doing banking, 95% of them said we consider riba or sood as haram. And around overwhelmingly 88% of the people who are doing banking, that said we think this conventional banking riba is haram and it is sood, and it is not permissible as per Quran and Sunnah. So you can see the strong sentiment and the public demand, and that will drive the growth of Islamic finance, and that is actually driving the growth of Islamic finance in Pakistan. On the regulatory end, a lot of development has already happened. There's a separate department at State Bank of Pakistan. There's a separate Shariah board. Now you have license for Islamic commercial banks. You can establish a window or a subsidiary of conventional banks. You can develop, have a standalone branch of Islamic branch of a conventional bank. Then you can convert a conventional bank into Islamic bank. You can convert a conventional banking branch into Islamic banking branch. Recently, if you have heard, Faisal Bank is now in the process of closing their conventional or interest-based operation, and they're in the process of converting it completely to Islamic bank. There are other banks who are also exploring this option to convert to Islamic bank. Khyber Bank in KPK, they are now over 50% Islamic. So they will in next few years they will close down their interest-based operations. So so you know, it all means the demand for those people who have skills in the Islamic side, they will be higher, and those who have just conventional banking skills or conventional finance skills, they might become these skills might become outdated if they don't update themselves. And again, in terms of regulation, we have comprehensive regulations for Sharia governance in Islamic banking. We have different Islamic banking prudential regulations. We have different international standards are being adopted in Pakistan. AAOIFI standards are being adopted as part of Pakistan Islamic finance regulatory framework, which means that expertise in the AAOIFI standards is now in demand. Now we have state bank guidelines for inspection and audit. So if you also need people with audit skills who can go and check Islamic finance, who can check the compliance side of Islamic finance. In terms of treasury, now State Bank has started Islamic open market operations. So now even in the treasury department, you need people with the right skill set. Most of the schemes that the State Bank now offered in the conventional space, they have offered the Islamic alternative for all their interest-based schemes to the public. So if you're working over a corporate and you want to utilize state bank schemes, there is a demand for people in the corporate sector who understand Islamic finance and who can utilize funding from central bank or from the banking sector according to Islamic principles. In the last 15 years, we have seen a significant rise in the corporate sector for issuance of Islamic sukuk. Now, major corporates, whether it's Angro, Hubco, K Electric, now they don't go for conventional, bonds, but they prefer to go for Islamic sukuk when they want to raise fund from the capital market. So this trend has shifted from conventional to Islamic, and the Islamic. This also means you need people. You need finance managers, you need finance directors, you need corporate CFOs who understand Islamic finance and who can structure the deals according to Islamic principles. According to State Bank own target, they want by 2023, the banking system should convert at least 25% to Islamic. There are 5 full-fledged Islamic banks: Meezan, Al Barka, Dubai Islamic Bank, Islami, and MCB, and there are 17 conventional banks who are offering Islamic banking. So the domain is quite vast now. This is a snapshot picture. Uh, their total banking asset in Pakistan are 22 trillion, and almost 15% are now Islamic. Banking deposits are now 16.6% Islamic. State bank schemes and around 15% Islamic. Housing finance is 53% Islamic. And there are 5 full-fledged banks, 17 windows. There are more than 3,200 branches of Islamic banks and 1,300 windows of conventional banks offering Islamic banking. So altogether, this is like 4,500 units or outlets serving Islamic banking customers, and each outlet or each branch normally have 10 people. So you can estimate that already around 30,000 or more than 30,000 people are already working in this industry. And this branch network expansion is growing very rapidly. Even in these difficult times, in this where almost hiring has been stopped, or the economy is on halt. I see that because I work in Meezan Bank, I see every 2 weeks a new branch is opening, or maybe every week we see a branch is opening. So in these difficult times, actually Islamic finance is growing much at a much quicker pace. Just to let you know, like for example, in the deposit of Meezan Bank as of March was 930 billion. In just two and a half months, we have crossed 1 trillion. So 70 billion deposit was added in just 2.5 months, where virtually the banking sector was in trouble. Economy was in trouble. People were expecting decrease in the growth, but we have experienced accelerated growth even in these hard times. This is a picture of how Islamic finance or Islamic banking has grown in Pakistan from in December from 1 trillion to now it is over 3 trillion, and we are expecting 2020 close of 2020 around 4 trillion or close to 4 trillion. Similarly, the banking share has gone up, and branches have gone up. Windows of Islamic banking have gone up. So in every parameter, we see positive growth in the area of Islamic banking. This slide shows the decline of conventional banking in Pakistan and rise of Islamic finance in Pakistan. And inshallah, this decline will continue, and this growth will continue because of the public demand, because of the strong fundamentals of Islamic finance in Pakistan. And maybe in next 10 to 15 years, we will see the market dynamics to be significantly different from what we see today. The forecasted growth for Islamic banking branch network is by 2023, we are expecting 5,000 dedicated branches of Islamic banks. Probably we will see this forecast on the to be already we are surpassing 2020 target, somewhere very close to it. So this growth will continue, and this means that you need fresh hiring, you need fresh blood, or you need trained HR in the field, you need trained HR in the branches, you need trained HR in different departments related to Islamic banks. The deposit growth is also forecasted to be we have already this was the old forecast, but what we expect that we will meet by 2020 will be around 3.8 to 4 trillion, which was initially the target of 2023. So we are reaching the target 3 years earlier as well. The share forecast was 7 . 13.7 by the end of March. So for the banking sector, the kaful or the Islamic in the insurance industry or in the non-life section, Islamic finance is now around, in terms of new policies that are sold every year. The data of 9 months show that Islamic finance is now around 12% in the non-life segment, and in the life segment it is around 13.6%. There are 29 players in the non-life, out of which 19 are offering Islamic takaful, and there are 2 dedicated takaful companies, which are general takaful companies or general insurance companies. In the life segment, you have total 7 players in the conventional space, and 4 are now already offering Islamic products, and you have 2 dedicated Islamic takaful operator or Islamic insurance operator. So this makes them total 6 takaful operations in the life and family takaful business, and around 21 operators offering takaful in the non-life business. In terms of non-banking financial sector, which includes capital markets, funds, mudarbas, real estate investment trust, leasing companies, private equity, venture capital, the total market size is already 29% in the Islamic domain. And the mutual fund are leading this with 37% already Islamic, and then the mutual funds are now the asset under management with the Islamic mutual funds is around 250 billion rupees, which is 37 to 39%. In the pension fund space, already Islamic finance is leading with 63% share. Mudarba is now 100% Islamic. You have no interest-based mudarba, alhamdulillah, in Pakistan now. In the real estate investment trust, there's only one fund, and it is Islamic. So this space is already 100% Islamic. We don't have much data about private equity and venture capital. The data among Islamic and non-Islamic, but private equities are quite generally very close to Islamic finance, and venture capital is also very close to Islamic finance. So this sector has also requirement of expertise of Islamic finance. Just on to update you about what is happening on the government side or government front, the government of Pakistan has started its Sukuk or Islamic bond program in 2008, and until April 2020, over $1 trillion Sukuk has been issued on different assets. Largely, the government of Pakistan has issued Ijara Sukuk. So this is like 20 Sukuk issued with over $1 trillion market in volume. There are other more than probably 100 Sukuks have been issued by the corporate sector for raising money under Islamic mode. So we have different experiments in the corporate sector. Now, very recently, K Electric has issued a Sukuk. Previously, Anglo Islamic Rupiah certificate was quite popular. And then Habco has issued Islamic commercial papers. So now companies are actually preferring to go and issue Islamic security instead of interest-based security, because that helps them to remain a Sharia compliant company, and that helps their share value to increase, because if they are Sharia compliant companies, they qualify in the Islamic index of the stock market, and if they are part of the Islamic index, their share value goes up, and the trading or the volume in the share also goes up, because now the Sharia compliant investors also opt for those shares. So so you need people at every level who understand Islamic finance. In terms of talent development, IBA, LUMS, IM Sciences, there were 3 centers of excellence were established in the last government to promote Islamic finance, and today we see almost all professional bodies like CFA, ACCA, they have Islamic finance as part of their course. All of the top universities are now in Pakistan are trying to promote Islamic finance skills among the graduates, and this is simpler demand and supply mechanics, as well as there's a demand from the students, they want to learn Islamic finance, because now we see a lot of people who are averse to riba interest, and they don't want to start their career in an un-Islamic or non-Islamic company. Coming to the career potential and career options. Now, career options are expanding. Islamic banking was obviously the main employer, or the one of the major sector for fresh graduates. But now we have Islamic capital market, we have Islamic mutual funds, different types of mutual funds. We have pension funds, we have equity fund, we have balance funds, we have sovereign funds. So lot of different types of funds, and these funds need fund managers, they need analysts, they need researchers who understand the dynamics and who understand the Sharia side, as well as the market, the fund management side. We have now openings in the corporate sector. Many companies in the corporate sector, when they're hiring graduates and fresh graduates, and in the finance especially, they want the graduate to have Islamic finance skill. So because now they are dealing with Islamic banks, they are recording their transaction according, or the accounting is done in an Islamic way. They are now issuing public sukuks. They want their share to be Sharia compliant in the stock market. And there are also tax incentives for companies by FBR. If a company has zero conventional banking relationship and 100% Islamic banking relationship, and they are in the stock market, and they are in the manufacturing sector, their tax rate automatically decreased by 2%, which is a significant amount for companies. So now incentives are also there, and companies, because there is liquidity, the pricing is attractive in the Islamic sukuk market and in the Islamic banking market. So companies and corporates are now shifting towards this. There are opportunities in takaful. I mentioned there are already over 20 companies offering takaful or Islamic insurance. Now regulators have Islamic finance department. State Bank has its own Islamic finance department. SECP has its own Islamic finance department. Pakistan Stock Exchange has now has its team for product development. And today, actually, I saw a circular where the SECP has asked Pakistan Stock Exchange to develop to have a Sharia compliance department in the stock market, where you need people with expertise on screening shares and evaluating a share portfolio on the basis of Islamic principles. Now we have Islamic brokerage firms that are coming up, who are dealing with investors exclusively, who like to do Sharia compliant trading and Sharia compliant investments, who like to invest in sukuk. We have similarly, we have Islamic wealth management expertise in the demand. Now we also have a demand of Sharia auditors and Sharia compliance professionals who can work with the banks, in the banks, or with the audit firms, and provide auditing services to the financial sector. Now corporates are also opting for Sharia audit. Some of the good corporates in Pakistan, now they have Sharia auditors as well, which are experts in finance and have a Sharia knowledge or have Islamic finance knowledge, so they can perform their compliance from the company point of view, that the company is Sharia compliant or not. Then another area, which is Sharia compliant consultancy, is now coming up. We have even ENY has a Sharia compliant consultancy wing in Pakistan. They have Deloitte has a Sharia compliant consultancy wing outside Pakistan. Then other consultancy firms are now coming up, where they're offering Sharia compliant consultancy to different companies to convert to Islamic finance, different banks for the capacity building. They're advising companies to set up new takaful companies, new mutual funds. So this is an area which is growing, and SECP in Pakistan has also started that if a person has Sharia skills and as well as financial skills, they can become the registered Sharia advisor with SECP. And if a person is a registered Sharia advisor, his services can be taken by different companies in Pakistan who want their operations to be Sharia compliant. So the horizon is expanding day by day. Even now, we are hoping that the government will also need individuals and professionals with Sharia compliant or skills of Islamic banking and finance, because now there are plans at the government level, different department level and different ministries level, that they also want to convert their businesses to Islamic or Sharia compliant basis. So these are a few of the, you know, industries or sub industries in the Islamic finance market, where we are seeing movement, and we are seeing people are being hired with the right skills. And this is not only for Pakistan, but it is also for the international markets. So international markets are also expanding, and they are looking for people. And one of the trend that we have seen in Pakistan, that people work for 3-4 years in the capital market in Pakistan, in Islamic capital market in Pakistan, and they get the required experience, and they're easily picked up by a foreign company because of their skills. And for them, the charm is that the current salary package of in Pakistan is lower as compared to international salary packages. So a Pakistani will happily go out, is paid 5 times or 4 times higher what he's currently earning. So these type of numbers are very common in the market. Of my staff who have worked under me, they got hired by international companies at say 5 times of the salary or 4 times of the salary, which is because the skill set was very unique and there was a demand in the international market. And here we have an edge on in from about over Indian market as well, because Islamic finance is not that there in India, and because of the religious factors, some of the workers are not even Muslims. So companies who are hiring Islamic finance individuals, they prefer person with the right skill set and right knowledge and right experience. So that is another good news for people who are in the industry. When we come to the scope of work in within the Islamic banking, so Islamic banking itself has grown a lot, and it's just not that I have to work in Islamic bank. There are different areas now that has emerged: risk management, retail and consumer finance, treasury operations, Sharia compliance, Sharia audit, innovative product development, investment banking, commercial banking, corporate banking, SME banking, and very recently digital banking as well. So just not one job in Islamic banking. There are a lot of different subsections that have opened up, and people with the right skill set can go and tap these these areas. And you have if you are interested in this area, you have to be prepared, and you have to focus, and you have to understand what is the specific skill set demand of each different subset area. There are certain common skills that you need if you want to go in Islamic finance, that you already have or you have to acquire. And then there you need some functional skills. For example, if you have to work in treasury, you may need some additional skills. And if you want to work in the product development section or the Sharia compliance section, you may need some additional skills to supplement your existing or general Islamic banking knowledge. So that is why when at IBA we have seen that the courses are now specialized courses are being offered. One basic Islamic banking set of courses offered. Then we have Islamic risk management, Islamic capital markets. We have Takaful. We have Islamic commercial law. So different courses are now designed and being offered. Islamic treasury operations, Sharia audit. So these are courses that are offered where you can prepare yourself according to the area that you see yourself, excelling in the future. I'll just quickly go through some of the sub roles that are also that are there when you talk about these broader functions available in Islamic finance. In the Sharia compliance and audit, you have opportunities for becoming Sharia compliance officers. You can grow to become Sharia compliance manager, Sharia compliance head. You can become research Sharia analyst. You can become Sharia auditor. Product section in the product development, normally careers start from the assistant product manager, or then you can become probably deputy product manager. You can become a product manager for a single product, then you can grow on to become product manager for a portfolio of products. So you need a research analyst, a product analyst, good people with financial skills as well as Shariah skills, and a good understanding of finance, projections, and the market. Even here, the people with good marketing skills are needed, who understand the consumer behavior, consumer patterns, who can design marketing campaigns, who can design products, who can package products according to the Sharia principles. In the investment banking, there again, you have transaction managers, you have managers who can lead investment analysts, you have lead advisors for sukuk, you have project finance experts, and then these are different areas where Islamic investment banking are hiring. In corporate and commercial banking, we have assistant relationship managers, we have relationship managers, we have portfolio managers, we have credit analysts, we have risk analysts, supply chain analysts. So lot of sub areas as well in the corporate banking, in the commercial banking now in Islamic finance. In the branch banking, again, you have personal banking managers, you have branch managers, you have branch service officers, and the career path is that you can go become a personal banking manager, you can go to become an operational manager, you can become a branch manager, then from there you can grow to become an area manager or a regional manager, and maybe one day you can become a head of a Islamic bank. In consumer finance, again, there are requirements for product manager, assistant product manager, credit analysts, sales managers, business development managers, because Islamic banking is now leading in the consumer finance domain. Islamic banks are leader in house finance, they are leader in auto finance in the market. So you need people who understand Islamic products, and they understand the consumer banking as well. In the risk management, again, you have risk managers, operational risk managers, portfolio risk managers, business risk managers, market risk managers. So again, different subsections of jobs are now have emerged in the risk management domain. In the treasury, there again, you have money market managers, foreign exchange dealers, equity dealers, you have sukuk dealers or capital market dealers, and then you have interbank interbank dealing experts. You need treasury marketing people who can market treasury products to different different segments. And these are just 8 or 9 areas, but there are other sub areas as well. You have trade finance specialist, you have digital banking specialist, you have people with IT skills as well as combined with the business skills, who can become system analysts, who can become system designers. Now, because of the fintech, you need fintech experts, where you know the financial side, you need the technology side and the banking, Islamic banking side. So you have demand for Islamic fintech experts, Islamic branchless banking experts, Islamic digital banking experts. So this is an area where technology and business knowledge combined together is now is gaining demand and popularity. Now, question is how to prepare yourself. Are you ready for this? Now, it depends. That first you need to see, or you need to understand what areas you're targeting at. But one thing, if you want to come to Islamic finance, if you have a basic understanding of what Islamic banking and Islamic finance is, a basic course or basic exposure to Islamic finance, that will help you to understand what Islamic finance is. Then you, if you are part of IB or you're about to graduate, you can acquire, you can do electives in Islamic finance. You can do in the risk management, in capital markets, in product development, in accounting. Or if IB is not offering, you can also do it from, there are no online courses are available. You can design your term reports and projects, your ELP projects on, so you acquire the right skills that is needed in the market. Uh, so what normally when we are hiring, what skills we are looking at, uh, two types of skills. First, your own financial knowledge, or your own banking knowledge, your knowledge about whatever area you are good at. For example, if you're a good marketer, you should know, you should understand the dynamics of consumer behavior, advertising, sales. But then also you need to understand the Sharia principles on which Islamic financial institutions are operating, and you need to also understand the products that they are selling. So because if you understand the product, you need the principles, and you have the marketing skills, you become the right combination. If you want to go to finance, or you want to have a finance major, then you need your financial skills, your analytical skills, your forecasting skills. You need to know how to model a transaction, how to calculate annuities. You need to have that strong base. But then you also need to understand different products that are there in Islamic banks, how a musharaka works, how a mudarba works, how a Islamic leasing works. If you want to go to takaful, then you need to understand the principles of takaful, the principle of waqf, principles of tabarru. So different subset in that industry. uh, then if you want to pursue a career as an accountant, then in addition to the conventional accounting practices, you also need to understand what are the Islamic accounting regulations in Pakistan and outside Pakistan, and what are the international practices for Islamic banks and Islamic financial institutions. Probably you need to know about what are the international standards of AAOIFI in accounting. You need to probably know about the Sharia standards which are issued by AAOIFI. You also need to understand the Basel regulations or IFSB regulation related to banking sector, especially if you are going to for risk management. So to sum up, I can say that there is a fundamental basic requirement. What is Islamic finance? What are the different Islamic banking products? You need to have an introduction to all of that. What are different types of products in Islamic finance? What are the basis of Islamic finance? How Islamic banks are different from conventional banks? How Islamic financial institutions are different from conventional banks? What is a sukuk? How it is different from bond? What is an insurance company, and how takaful is different from insurance? How Islamic mutual funds operate, and how so a basic knowledge of all of these, and then a specialized knowledge of the particular area that you want to pursue your career. And that is something, if you have that right combination, generally people will hire you, or they will give you preference over other candidates who don't have those skill set. And I think I'll stop here, and we can take questions. You can type your questions in the chat area, and I'll try to answer these questions. Anyone want to ask any question? You can
Assalamu
raise hand.
alaikum, sir. So
Assalamu alaikum.
I have a question regarding the online education related to the Islamic banking and finance. So are
Mhm.
there any sources available from where we can do online courses about these different fields of
Yeah.
Islamic finance?
Currently, online courses, there are two types of first is there are a lot of videos and lectures available online about different aspects of Islamic finance. For example, if you go to the IBSC YouTube channel, you will find probably over 70 videos on Islamic finance. This is a quick starting point for Islamic finance. Then Islamic Development Bank Jeddah, there's a body, have a training arm which is called IRTI. They offer a few courses online related to Islamic finance, Islamic capital markets. You can also enroll in those courses. In CEIF, which is based in Malaysia, they offer their master's program online as well. So that is one program, but obviously that requires a longer time commitment. But that is also available in the online format. Very recently, IBS CEIF has also started its online courses. We are probably starting from this Saturday, inshallah, our online course on Sharia standards. So we will be covering the around 55-60 Sharia standards for related to Islamic financial institution in this online course. It's a 6-month course. We are also now planning to have our Islamic accounting course online. And then Meezan Bank has also a certificate called Islamic Banker Certificate. It's again an online e-learning module, which is a combination of 4 different modules that you can do online, and you can get the certificate if you pass the exam. So now, especially after Corona, and some of the institutions which were previously not doing online, they have also shifted to online. So there are also a lot of good research reports and analysis available online to give you a good overview of what are the different areas in Islamic finance. Ji, please. Yours, Saurabh?
Yeah, yes, sir. So the second part of my question is that is there any book that you would refer us, you would prefer that like we can read and keep it into our
Mhm.
libraries and like keep it for reference whenever we need to learn anything
Yeah.
about Islamic?
Have you taken a course on Islamic finance already?
No, I had taken 5 finance courses, but no
Okay.
Islamic finance.
Then I will recommend that if you go on the Meezan Bank website, there's a knowledge center. There are 2 good books. One is by a Guide to Islamic Finance by Dr. Imran Ashraf Usmani. It's a very easy to read book. You should go through that book because you will understand the basis of Islamic finance. And there's another book called Islamic Finance by Mufti Taqi Usmani. So that's also a good book to give you a basic idea, or it's an introductory level book, but it is good to have a good understanding start at the starter level. Then if you want to pursue or you want to go you want to learn more about it, then obviously there are a lot of books, especially like in our IBA library. We have now around 700 titles related to Islamic finance and banking. So you can pick some good books from there as well. You can so it's a continuous process, but the first 2 books that I have told you, they are very good to have. And I think now every student should at least understand the basis of Islamic finance by reading those books.
Thank you, sir.
Khurram,
Thank you so much.
Khurram, your question is, can you please guide us on current market position Islamic with regard to pandemic, how it is affecting the industry in Pakistan? Currently, yeah, the challenge is that currently the hiring is on the in some institution it is actually freezed, and in some it is on a slower pace. But still, it's happening. As I mentioned, that even during this pandemic, for example, Meezan is opening 1 branch every week, which means you are hiring staff, you are now training staff, and you so this is a good news for those who want to come in the Islamic finance industry, that still the this industry seems to be affected lesser by the pandemic, and we think that maybe in the next 1 or 2 months things will be better. But if you are prepared for it, and you have the right skill set, the chances that of your getting in is quite high. Last year, I remember that the highest number of the in terms of employing IBA graduates, Dr. Farooq, who was the previous dean, told me that IBA Meezan Bank was the highest you know employer for the IBA graduate. They have hired the highest number of IBA graduate in 2019.
Okay, sir.
So I think there are opportunities, and as I mentioned, that lot of banks have now Islamic windows, lot of mutual funds, takaful companies. Now this area, this domain is quite expanding. So if you have the right skills, there are definite opportunities for those people who have the right skills. Are there any opportunities for market? Yes, marketing measures is also, all of these products require marketing, and you need people with good marketing skills. And in terms of good marketing skills, it's not how well you can deceive people. It is how well you can define the right thing in the right manner, which with following the Sharia principles. Because when we come to marketing our Islamic product, we normally guide our marketing department that you can't lie, you can't deceive, you can't cheat, you don't need to make use uh, women as a showpiece. You have to be very decent in your advertising. You have to be very uh, upfront what you are saying. So, but if you follow these principles, there are a lot of opportunities in the marketing side as well. Risk management, there are a couple of books on the risk management. I think one by Dr. Zamir Iqbal is good on the risk management. You can Google it on the that is there. Then if you can email me, I can send you few books that I taught last semester for risk management. There's a book by Umar Mustafa Ansari on the Sharia audit. That is also a good good read for Sharia audit. Uh, then there are certain guidelines by regulator, especially State Bank of Pakistan, on the Sharia compliance. That is good to read, because that gives you an overview of the Sharia compliance regulation of State Bank, and as well as by also read the Sharia compliance framework of SECP. So this will give you a good overview of the Sharia compliance. Another good maybe a good advice for those who that if you are not getting jobs, it could be good to have a shorter internship in the Islamic financial sector, because if the hiring is free, it's for everyone. If you come as an internee for a month or so, you can get an age, and you can get an experience which probably will help you to become to get in once this job ban is lifted in by certain companies. Most of the majority, Haris has asked, the majority of the undergrad students finance course offered at IB are more oriented towards conventional finance. Will CEIF be coordinating with the department for providing teachers? Yes, we have already offered, and we are already helping our IBA students to for Islamic finance courses, and a lot of now Islamic basic courses on Islamic finance is already offered at the bachelor's level as well as at the graduate level. Uh, for MS program, we have quite a number of specialized courses, and which are open to other students as well. So you can take risk management, you can take Islamic capital markets, you can take treasury operations, you can take Sharia compliance and audit. Even if you have graduated, I think IB allows students to take courses uh, even after your graduation as a non-credit course from another discipline. So that is something I think could be done if you want to equip yourself with the right skill set. Sorry, send me the said book. Which book? I have mentioned that the book is available. The Islamic finance book is available on the knowledge center of Meezan Bank. If you go to the website on the knowledge center, there is a section called publication and books, and you can download the books from there. And you can, and if about the risk management and the Sharia audit, you can send me an email. I will inshallah try to send you the link or the name of the book. If it's available in online format, I can send you the book or the link, or if it's not available in the online format, I will send you the name. So can you please recommend any financial supply chain book? Just send me an email, because financial supply chain is a bit different topic, but now supply chain financing is common, and I will try to recommend you some books as well. कोई और सवाल है किसी का, कोई आपका and I think one of the I will advise if you people can go through our CEIF website. There's a knowledge center as well. There are a lot of latest updated reports and happenings in Islamic finance. You can read them. Go to the Meezan Bank website and read the annual report of Meezan. It's one of the best report in the industry, not in Pakistan but at the global level. It is one of the best report of Islamic Bank in the world. So you can get a lot of good insight when you read that annual report of Meezan Bank. uh, you should also go to the YouTube channel of IBSC, and maybe you can follow IBSC. If we have this online Sharia standard course, we can offer a special discount for IBS students. That is also something. If anyone wants, we can consider. If you are a BBA students and you want to pursue further, currently I think two days before or 3 days before, MS admission were announced for Islamic finance, and that's a very comprehensive program. And most of our MS students got the jobs within before completing their MS program. So now I think almost 18% of the students are working as well as they are completing the MS. So this is also a good route to equip yourself in Islamic finance knowledge as well as get into the job market. Our Islamic Bank hiring interns, third year students like me have unsuccessfully searching for internship. I recently complete. We are open to internship, but and I will discuss, and maybe you can email me like trying to offer few internship to our students. See, can we offer it online, maybe virtually, or maybe they can come for 1 day or 2 days in a week and they can do the task maybe 3 days from their home, like working from home setup type thing. Is there any other query, question, comment? If you want to use mic, you can use your mic, or if you want to write, you can write. And no comments. If there's no comment, then we can conclude the session. And maybe thank you very much for joining us. And inshallah, I hope this session will be helpful to you to clear your mind about your career choices. And it can I hope that it has provided you some of the new areas where Islamic finance is operating, and that you can explore those areas, and also help you to get some guided you about the skills that you need if you want to pursue your career in Islamic finance, Islamic banking, or Islamic takaful, Islamic capital markets. So I think thank you very much, and let's conclude this session, inshallah. And jazakallah everyone for joining us at IBSC. Do follow us at our Facebook or at our YouTube. And also, if there's any comment about this session, please let us know through your emails or your messages. And inshallah, we'll try to improve the next sessions based on your feedback. Jazakallah, and thank you everyone.